So, I thought I would show my latest build, which is I suppose it's more of an Irish Bouzouki than an Octave Mandolin, but it is tuned in a mandolin tuning, but a lot lower than an Octave Mandolin, so tuned to D instead. My last build was a mandocello, and I kind of liked that sound, and I once got to build another one, but turned out that the piece of top wood I had wasn't quite large enough for what I wanted. And then also I came across an old vintage guitar, a Bertold Minor, which is a Swedish manufacturer, and it was completely destroyed, this guitar, but I managed to get some nice parts from it, including the fingerboard, so I actually didn't have to do anything this time. And the fingerboard is a 596 millimeter scale, so it's 23 and a bit inches. I took that off it, and I also used the binding from that guitar. And in case anyone is completely horrified by me picking apart old 1950s guitar, this one was beyond all repair. But I thought I'd give it some new life, or parts of it some new life. So the fingerboard is rosewood, and it has a slight radius in it. And that wasn't actually from the old guitar. It had a flat fingerboard, but I put a radius in it, and it's something I hadn't done before, and I was a little sort of worried about how I was going to do it. And what I realized was that the important thing with the radius isn't that it's the same all the way. I mean, obviously you don't want it wobbling around, but the important thing is that it's where the string goes, it's absolutely flat, and then whatever radius you put on it. So I used a fairly large long piece of wood that I knew was absolutely square, put some sandpaper on it, and then shaped it to the shape I wanted to, and it makes it a little bit easier to play, basically. And the top is much like it was on my mandocello. It is an old piano soundboard. This one isn't quite as nice, and there are some cosmetic flaws in it, but since I was building this for myself, I'm not too worried about these kind of things. You can see looks like a crack here. It's not, it's a discoloration in the wood, kind of blurring of the wood, and then there is a hole there which I've filled with shellac, so shouldn't be any big problems. The binding is a sort of cream plastic binding and black, and I was really pleased with the job I managed to do on this binding. It's by far the cleanest binding job I've done, so I was really pleased with that. And also the sound hole is a kind of eye oval shape with some of this white binding in it as well. It's a little tricky to do. I don't have an awful lot of fancy big machinery, so I actually did this one using a template I made. It turned out pretty nice. I like the oval shapes, I must say. Sides, birch. There's a tiny bit of sort of flame in this birch, but it's not very pronounced. And you can see it in the back there. As you can see, there is knot down there. What happened was I took this piece of wood apart, and it turned out to have a knot in it, but I thought again, it's for me, so I don't care, and it has this nice sort of flame effect and this bolting down there, so I still felt it was worth keeping it. Neck, much simpler affair than last time. It's just a birch neck. There's no faceplate. Put my curve in there. I really just wanted a functional instrument, and the things I put down effort into was really the things that I wanted to improve, like the binding and doing the radius of the fingerboard. I did do a little bit of ornamentation down here. So this is rosewood with some of this white binding material, and then a sort of zigzag pattern there, just to do a little something with it. The bridge is mahogany with some rosewood on top, and it's oiled, so you can see it's a very dark mahogany. The mahogany actually came from the neck of a Octave Mandolin, which I got, which I'll post a video of that one soon, because the neck was gone, but I managed to save the mandolin and it turned out rather nice. Tailpiece is nothing spectacular. I had a few to choose from, and I chose this one simply because the width of it sort of suited the size of this better, and it's just a little leather thing there to dampen the strings. I don't like when they ring along, so at some point I'm going to make a proper wooden damper to screw onto these things. It's got the position markers from the old Berton guitar. Strap button there, and obviously one there. I used the same thing as I did with the Mandocello, which is a square steel tubing in it. The Mandocello has obviously been around for a while, and it hasn't shifted at all. This one, when I put the strings on, it just pulled up a tiny bit, and then it has not moved for 2 weeks. So I put off putting up this with video, because in case the neck just suddenly went, I would have to take it all apart again. So, but it seems to be stable. I might have to just lower the strings a tiny bit, but for now it's perfectly fine. I like the sound of it. What I didn't do so well this time was cutting the nut. It's a tiny bit, they're a tiny bit low on a few of the strings, and one was particularly bad, so I stuck a little bit of paper in it just to lift it up so it's actually playable, but I'm gonna have to recut that nut. I'm on my holidays now, so it will have to wait a couple of weeks. I just made it so it's actually playable. Cutting a nut is very hard, and which is why I've used a lot of 0 frets before, because 0.5 millimeter can make all the difference between the action being too low and making a noise, or being too high and you push the string sharp. So it's a bit of a fiddly process. So anyway, there it is, my latest Octave Mandolin Bouzouki thing, and it actually has Octave Mandolin strings on it. So I could probably push the tuning up a bit if I felt like it, but I like it as it is. So there it is. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.